Hello and welcome everyone. We're here again, episode 3. Can't believe we made it this far. We got the Two Bros Hockey Show for you. Once again, we got your friend, your host, Chris.
Your other friend, your co-host, Zach. And let me just start by saying that we already recorded this for about 5 to 10 minutes. We did the first take, and then I glanced over to see, because we were rambling as usual, glanced over to see how long into it we were, to notice that Christopher didn't hit the record button. I got this.
Yep,
so we do a second take. We're about 2 minutes in at this point. We do the introductions. And as I'm talking about how he didn't hit record the first time, I glance over, and yet again, the kid forgets to hit record. But I assure you, third time, we're recording now, so you will hear this. And we're excited about this episode.
All I can say, I'm not an excuse guy. I am an excuse guy.
All he does is give excuses.
Yep, and most of them don't even make sense, like this one. But really, the reason I forgot to hit record, I think it's because I was too excited to finally get to use this beautiful Samson CO1 condenser microphone, studio condenser microphone. We've been using the $8 ones for a while. Zach, unfortunately, still is, but, that's one of our first improvements will be a new microphone for Zachary.
And a new stand because I can't stand it.
Yeah, that was clever. So, yeah, $8 microphone, $85 microphone, a little bit of a difference there.
So, when Chris sounds like an angel and I sound terrible, you know why. I get the shit end of the stick.
Well, I get the shit end of the stick in the looks and physique department. Not that this kid's a perfect specimen.
Oh, God, no.
I'd say he's an easy 8.5. While I'm maybe a 2. I'm like a 2.5.
I'm 6.5. You're a solid 5.4.
No. Nope.
You got to factor
4.4. You can't even bump it up to a 0.5.
No, just based on looks 5, but with the personality and everything factored in. Yeah, you're 5.4 with personality and everything factored in.
So my personality is a 0.4. I think personality is the 5. The looks are the 0.4.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, all right.
Let's dive right in here, head first, like Greg Louganis.
Oh, my God. All right, Greg Louganis. Okay, good reference. You know what? I'm going to let you start us off.
Me start us off. I'm the one who has 0 notes taken. I was at work all day.
Way to go, making us look unprofessional.
We are.
All right, you know what? There was an interesting week here from last episode to this one. We got a little movement in the East.
Yes, sir.
Back East. Little movement in the East, little movement in the West once again. Could have been more movement in the East. I would have liked to have seen that, but I did not. So would you like us? Should we start off in the East?
Yeah, let's just start right in the East where we're familiar.
We started in the West last time. We'll start in the East.
Right in the home.
This week we have a team that hasn't been talked about. They got a little bit of on-air time.
A little bit of chatter.
Yeah, but they weren't really written down in our notes. But I decided to stick them in there. That's the Pittsburgh Penguins. They weren't in my playoff push top 4 or 5 teams, or actually bottom 4 or 5 teams. Mm-hmm. But they are today. Do you know why, Zach?
Why is that? I do not.
Because the Pittsburgh Penguins, although you're saying, Chris, why are the Penguins in there? They're in that second. They already clinched. They're in that second spot right now for the Metro. Why are they up there? Well, I'm glad you asked, even though I asked myself. They're tied with Columbus right now for points. They both have 2 games left. The Penguins are coming off 1 loss. Columbus is coming off a win. And, yeah, they're tied with Columbus. They're only 1 point ahead of New Jersey, only 2 points ahead of Philly. So, really, that second spot is any one of those teams.
Yeah,
depending on, all 4 of those teams have 2 games left. But, say the Penguins blow it and Flyers play great, or the Devils play great. That could be anyone's second spot, and that's huge.
That's crazy. Yeah, you got 4 different teams competing for for Philadelphia right now, sitting in the last wild card spot. They could jump up 3 spots, which literally changes your entire playoff, like your outlook on the rest of playoffs, because you're playing
That first round matchup is completely different now.
Absolutely.
So
I didn't even realize that. I knew Columbus was only a point ahead of the Devils, and I knew the 3 of them were close. I wasn't aware how close Pittsburgh. I didn't know they were.
So
tied
really,
with
New
Columbus.
Jersey's if New Jersey beat Pittsburgh in that game that went to overtime against them, then right now New Jersey would be in that spot.
Yeah.
Ahead of them. So I never really thought about it to look at the Penguins because lately they've been not so far ahead of everyone. They've still been pretty close.
Just sitting in that
But I was
place
like,
spot.
they're in that second spot. So I didn't even bother looking until today, and it kind of caught my eye. Thought that was interesting. Another thing that's interesting, we're going to get into what games are left on the season for all these teams, but the next game for Pittsburgh is against Columbus, and that's Columbus's next game as well. So they're tied, so that's a huge game. That's basically who's going to take that spot.
Mm-hmm.
And even still could end up being New Jersey or Philadelphia, or New Jersey or Philadelphia might not make it at all. So, yeah, definitely interesting. So, like I said, Pittsburgh, 96 points, Columbus, 96 points, Devils, 95, Flyers, 94, and Florida with 90. And, there's like 2 games left on the season for
pretty much
every team, besides like 4, I think, or something crazy like that.
3.
No, more than 4. But, hey, not the point here.
Yeah.
So about 2 games left, though, for the whole league, and you're like, oh, well, they're down by 4. Like, they would need the Flyers to, like, lose every game, or the Devils to lose every game, and them to win. But Florida has 3 games left. 2 of them against Boston, unfortunate for them. But Florida can definitely pull it off. They've been kind of this whole year, I guess I'm guilty of kind of brushing them to the side. And as a Devils fan, you think I'd know better. I know what it's like to not be recognized for how well your team is doing. Florida, I guess for whatever reason, just I guess based off of past teams, I was like, oh, they're kind of in the conversation, but they don't really have what it takes to pull it off.
kind of ruled them out.
They've proved to me, though, that they have what it takes to pull this off and knock either us or Philly out.
And, yeah, while I do agree they have a chance, I did a little research, and I was looking online. They have to win every game. They can't even afford to have a 1-point game where they lose in overtime. They literally have to win all 3 of their remaining games. Yep. And I was on hockeyreference.com. I'm on it right now. And they have, like, all the probabilities of what percentage of a probability each team has of still making it, who's not in it yet. Right now, Florida is at 14.9% probability of making it into the playoffs. So not a very high number, but definitely still possible.
Without a doubt. It's one of those weird things where if New Jersey gets one of their last 2, which it's possible that they don't. They have Toronto and Washington left on the year. But if they get one of those, Florida's done. But I think...
Even if they get a point, they just need 1 point.
The Devils, yeah. But I think Philly needs to get a win out of one of their last 2 to stay alive.
They need either 1 win or 2 overtime
or
losses.
to hope that Florida blows their last 3.
Or Florida,
yeah. So it's definitely going to be interesting. I don't think Florida is going to make it based off of the predictions I was running through in my head. But who knows? We'll see.
They have Boston twice, right? And
I believe they have 2 home games left out of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
But the last game of the year is away, like in Boston. They just lost to Boston in Boston.
No, they beat Boston. They beat Boston.
No, Florida lost to Boston 5-1.
That's not true.
That is true. Look it up right now.
I will.
And while you're doing that, I will talk about the rest of the streak. So I said Pittsburgh lost their last game. Columbus won last night. Devils are on a 3-game winning streak. And they have a bit of a point streak going as well. The Flyers lost their last game last night, and Florida's on a 2-game winner, which is great for them at this point in the season. We'll get back to who every team has left. I mentioned some of them, but I want to talk about the West first, and then we'll jump back to the East and make our predictions. That sound good to you?
That sounds great, and I apologize. You were right. Boston won 5-1.
I know, I was right.
Then what game was I?
Because I was excited.
All right. Well, I apologize. You were correct.
I know. Do you have anything you'd like to add on the East? Because there really is a lot going on.
I think we pretty much summed it all up. Washington, they clinched the Metropolitan, and Boston and Tampa Bay. We didn't touch on this at all, but they're still neck and neck for who's gonna get first in the Atlantic Division.
And I believe they play each other still, right?
I don't know. I could check in a second, but right now I'm looking at the standings, and they both have 110 points. But Boston has 1 game at hand.
What does it say for
Tampa Bay.
Tampa's next game? All the way on the right there.
Next game, they play Buffalo.
Oh, okay. We could talk about last night and the chaos that could have happened.
What chaos would that be?
Well, I don't know about you, and I know I keep saying, as Devils fans, but as Devils fans, there were 4 extremely important games I was watching last night. Unfortunately, I had to record them, watch them later.
Yeah, I had a men's league game last night, so we lost 11-4. Still made playoffs. That was the last regular season game, but
Because there's like 10 teams in the league, so
12.
everybody makes playoffs.
12 and only 8 make it. So
Oh, wow, that's it?
yeah. So anyways, long story short, I had a game. So literally every time I came back to the bench, I was having Rachel, and for those of you who don't know, which everybody does because nobody who we don't know watches this, but it's my girlfriend. Literally every time I came back
We have 35 views somehow on episode 1.
Yeah, you probably watched it like 4 times yourself.
No, just 3.
But anyways, every time I came back to the bench, I had her give me all the updates on all the scores of all the games. I was like, "What's the score of the Columbus game? What's the score of the Florida game?" Every shift. And up to date.
For me, what I did, I had the Devils game recorded, and then I recorded the Columbus, Philly, and Florida game. So since I had the games recorded and they were over, and I had to stay off my phone, so I didn't know the outcomes. Instead of just fast forwarding through each intermission of the Devils game, which is what I would usually do, which is such a luxury, what I did instead was I watched the first period of our game.
Yeah.
Then the first period of our game, the third period of the Columbus game, then the second period of our game, and the third period of the Flyers game, then the third period of our game, and then the third period of Florida. So I watched all 3 third periods of those 3 games in between and after each of the periods for the Devils. Oh my God, was it nerve-wracking. And all the games were decided in the third period, whereas our game was
pretty much over.
It was kind of decided in the first, but still anything could have happened. But they solidified it in the second.
They started to let up a little bit at the end of the first, which I didn't like. And they got a little complacent. But
you didn't watch the third period, you said, right?
No, I missed the third period.
We got the win 5-2, but it, for the most part, looked like a classic New Jersey Devils third period, where I didn't think we'd be able to hold. I knew we were going to win, but I didn't think we'd be able to hold the lead, which we did let up another goal. But it's just a sloppy third period. And it wasn't awful, but it definitely could have been better play. The first 2 periods were great.
Absolutely.
Columbus, oh my God. So for people who don't know why these games are so important to us, it looked like New Jersey was going to win about halfway through the second. So we're like, all right, that's good. We got 2 points. We're going to move up to 95. But then I was thinking about it. I'm like, oh, well, if Philly loses and Columbus loses, then we're in that third spot. And then if Florida loses, we have a playoff spot. We clinch.
Right.
So we really wanted Florida to lose. That was the most important one, was to have Florida get an L, just so we didn't have to worry our last 2 games. Are they going to make it? Are they not going to make it? The Flyers did lose, so that's why we're in that first wild card spot now. Columbus came back from being down 3. Tied it up, goes to overtime.
They won in OT.
Then they win in OT.
Yep.
Then Florida, oh my God. Florida's winning 1-0 all game. And I think Nashville had like 40-something shot, like 45 shot.
I think it ends up being 42 to 30-something. They outshot them.
Yeah. So for Luongo to have over 40 shots, and he hadn't let up a goal.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm watching like the last 4 minutes, and the Preds had decent amount of pressure, but they just couldn't catch a break, couldn't really get anything on net towards the end. Then they pulled the goalie. They're out there. They got the extra attacker, finally getting shots, and I'm just praying that they get one in and bring it to overtime. If Florida lost, if it went to overtime and Florida lost, we wouldn't have clinched now.
I'm not positive. I don't think we would have clinched, because what would have happened in that situation is that if they just got 1 point out of that game, the best that they'd still be able to do would be tie us. So they'd be able to tie, but they wouldn't be able to surpass us. Yeah. So then it would just matter, I don't know.
But it still would have felt. So I was like, all right, we needed a regulation loss for Florida, but I'll take an overtime loss.
Right.
Just because it'll make it that much harder for them to get, any more points with their final 3 games, because they need that one extra. So then all of a sudden I see the puck go over the goal line, and I'm freaking out. I'm screaming, waking up the whole neighborhood. And as I'm like celebrating as if I'm a bona fide Predators fan, I look up and I see all zeros on the clock. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. That better have been in before the clock hit 0. So they're showing the replay. They have the little scoreboard at the bottom. And it was like 0.6 seconds, and it crosses. And I'm freaking out. I've never been more excited like my entire life. And then it gets reviewed again by Toronto for goaltender interference. And referee skates to center ice. I'm sure most of you know where I'm getting at. And said, after reviewing the play, we have goaltender interference, no goal. And, I was completely deflated. Deflated.
Just to correct you, though, real quick, before we get into the meat and potatoes of
this
topic.
Go ahead.
It was a 2-1 game. It wasn't 1-0, because Nashville did score. It was a 2-1 game was the final score. You said it was 1-0 all game, and then
Nashville. Yeah.
So it was a 2-1 final.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, once again, goaltender interference. It's been a discussion all year. They're trying to figure it out. I don't think they're going to be able to come to a conclusion before playoffs, unfortunately. Hopefully, I mean, it's bound to happen eventually in playoffs with all the games that we're going to see. But hopefully there's not like a crucial goal during playoffs that it comes down to a really controversial goaltender interference, because the problem I'm having with it, it's starting to become the same issue that happened in the NFL with is it a catch or is it not a catch? And it was just a joke.
It's awful. The NHL, I can't stand it, because there's some that are blatant goaltender interference. It's not even reviewed.
Right.
And it's a good goal. And then there's stuff like last night where was there contact? Kind of.
I watched it a couple times, and I don't know.
He poked, I believe he had the puck like in his glove.
Yeah.
And he poked at it.
He poked at it, but the play wasn't dead.
Yeah.
So that's not goal interference.
And then
playing, and it
Luongo's body turned, and that's what I heard, because of course there's a Florida broadcaster. They're like, I saw his body turn, so it looked like his stick pulled him. But I think Luongo was just turning so he could be square to the player in case the puck did get loose and end up on his stick. I think Luongo turned. I don't think he was turned by him pulling his
If
stick.
you guys
'Cause
haven't seen the video, by the way, we'll try to link it in the description. We'll try to get a clip of it so you could see for yourself and tell us what you think. But I watched it a couple times while I was on break at work today, and at first I was like, there was no contact at all. Like, could they have ever called that? Like, that's bullshit call. I was like, and then I watched it again, and then I kind of saw what the Panthers commentators were kind of saying, and a lot of the comments were saying that it looked like his stick kind of caught to the toe of his pad, and it spun him over. And I kind of saw what they were saying, but I couldn't tell if that was actually the case. What I thought it was, you thought he was turning to pivot towards him. What I thought it was is that if you look, Luongo's stick is out, and his own defenseman, it goes between his own defenseman's legs. I can't remember which defenseman it was, but it kind of looked like his stick got caught in his own defenseman's skates, and his defenseman was going in that same direction.
Yeah.
And I thought that could have been what turned him. At the end of the day, maybe his stick did push him over a little bit, but I feel like it wasn't definitive enough, and it wasn't really even enough. It wasn't really enough contact to call it goal interference. Even if there was any contact, I don't think it's enough contact to call it. But let us know what you guys think. There was also another goaltender interference incident in the Chicago Blackhawks game. I can't remember who they played last night, but it looked like a lot more of a blatant goaltender interference in my eyes. And they reviewed it, and they said it was a good goal. So if you guys want to look at that, we'll try to link that clip also in the description. Just let us know what you think. I mean, with the way the rules are now, it's kind of hard to say. That's why everyone's having such a difficult time with it.
Two things that definitely need to be fixed, hopefully going to next season. Both have to do with goal reviews for me. Definitely goaltender interference and the offsides. We're not going to get into that right now. I'm sure we will at some point in another video.
Yeah, just for a quick, just to say where I stand on that, I just don't believe in the offsides review.
Just because it's like turning over a goal if they think it was offsides when the team was entering the zone. The reason we don't like it is because when they call in offsides that wasn't in offsides,
you can't
turn that back and put it back in live play. Like, you already stopped the play.
So it kind of balances itself out. Yeah, there's going to be some offsides that don't get called and someone ends up scoring. But there's also instances where someone's carrying it over the line.
Could have scored,
and it wasn't offsides, and the ref thought it was offsides.
So it's about
I feel like
even.
it balances itself
and
out.
I think...
And it just slows up the game too much. Like, if it was like... If they could do it both ways and they could get it 100% each way every time, fine. I'm fine with them slowing the game down.
But I don't see a way where that would work.
Yeah, but no, there isn't a way where that would work. And the way they have it now, if you could only fix it for half of the calls, what's the point? Because then you're just making everyone sit there for an extra 2-3 minutes to decide anyways.
Yeah.
So
another thing that needs to be looked at is, I think, player safety with the fines and suspensions. They need to stop looking at a player's name and how many points they score.
Yeah, I agree.
Depending on punishment. What they should look at is their record of how they've been punished and what they've been punished for, rather than do they make us a lot of money.
But at the end of the day, it's a business, so that's
no, I understand, but
no, I don't agree with it.
It makes it a joke.
So
it's a joke.
I agree, and that's a hot topic issue that we'll talk about probably in the off season when there's not as much going on. But just so you guys
wanted to touch
where
on
we
it
stand on a couple
of
things that we're not happy with going around the league right now.
All right, let's hop into the West now.
Okay.
I had the 5 teams for the East. I only have 4 in here for the West. I just feel like Dallas isn't quite making it.
Where are they at right now? They have 90 points. So they're 3 outside Colorado, who's sitting in the last wild card spot, and they both have 2 games remaining. So they're kind of...
Well, yes, but St. Louis is still outside, but they're ahead of Dallas, and they have 3 games left.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So they both...
So, yeah, they'd have to beat out St. Louis and Colorado. And
Right.
St. Louis has 3 games left. Colorado already has 3 more points than them. St. Louis already has 2 more points than them. So
if you had to pick between Colorado and St. Louis, who do you think is going to take it?
It's tough for me. I think... I really don't know. And again, I said it last podcast. What's interesting is how the last game of the season for those 2 teams is against each other. And I really think it's going to come down to that because St. Louis has Chicago twice, which definitely helps.
Yep.
What hurts Colorado is So
San
St. Louis
Jose.
has 3 games left. Colorado has 2. They have San Jose
And
then
Louis.
the St. Louis game. St. Louis has Chicago twice and Colorado.
I think it's going to be St. Louis, honestly. I want it to be St. Louis.
I would like to see Colorado just because of last year and,
I could agree with that.
And especially, St. Louis, no doubt, is a great team all around. But Colorado, I'd feel so bad for Nathan McKinnon with the year he's been having. And really carrying this team on his back, much like Taylor Hall for the Devils. And they were pretty much in the same position as the Devils last year, just actually below us, and much worse record. So I feel for him and Hall, and, they've done so much carrying their teams. Not that the rest of the team's not performing. Obviously, to even be in contention for playoffs, you need more than one guy.
Right.
But I think they and him definitely deserve that spot. But like I said, I love St. Louis, and wouldn't mind seeing them either. In a perfect world, LA would be knocked out, but I don't see that happening now. But I do think Anaheim is going to jump up and take that 3rd spot from LA.
Yeah, they still have an extra game behind them, too.
And they're on a 2-game winning streak, which isn't like anything huge, but definitely helps.
Good push of momentum.
And I also mentioned last week how LA and Anaheim have the same record, like for the rest of the year, or same schedule for the rest of the year. So now they both have Minnesota in Minnesota, or they both have Minnesota at home. Then they both have Dallas at home, and then Anaheim has Arizona. So that's another reason I think Anaheim is going to jump up and take that spot. I could see LA splitting their last 2 games. I see Anaheim splitting Minnesota and Dallas too. Not necessarily to the same teams, but against Arizona, that definitely helps Anaheim. Their last game is against Arizona to jump up and potentially take that spot from LA.
Yeah, I agree. On to, and I'm at the same time.
Yeah.
It's brutal. On to, what do you think about Nashville in the first spot in the Central right now? Do you think Winnipeg catches up? Or do you think Nashville maintains the first spot?
I think Nashville, I don't know.
I think they maintain it because they just lost last night to Florida. I don't see them. The only way that Winnipeg can get ahead of them is if Nashville loses their last 2. And
they both have 2 games left?
They both have 2 games left, and Winnipeg is 3 points behind them. So Nashville would have to lose another 2, and Winnipeg has to win their last 2. So
Nashville has it.
I think Nashville maintains.
Kind of put me on the spot there, assuming I knew how many points they had.
No, well, I was going to let you know, but I'm just telling you how I stand, and I was wondering if you'd agree or not.
I think considering Nashville's going to stay in that first spot, and they definitely deserve it. I'd love to see them do great things this year. Back to the West, so you have Anaheim just 1 point behind LA.
We're talking about the West already.
Huh?
You said back to the West.
Well, it was a bit rude of you to just drop that in. You should have said it after we were done talking about the wild card push, but hey. Just saying.
Thought we were. My apologies. Don't want to step on anyone's toes here. Didn't mean to offend you.
No, I'm just saying we were talking about it, and you're making it seem awkward. See this?
No, not at all. I'm just saying you threw in a nice...
This awkward tension.
Not at all.
There isn't, but it's coming off that way. It's real. It's coming off that way. So anyway, you got LA 96 points, Anaheim 95 points, Colorado 93, St. Louis 92. So again, that's why I think Dallas isn't going to make it. So I said LA 2 games left, Anaheim 3 games left, Colorado 2, St. Louis 3. Streaks, we got LA on a 1-game winner, Anaheim 2-game winner, Colorado 1-game loser, St. Louis 2-game loser. And then we're gonna jump right into predictions.
Yeah.
Should we do West predictions first since we were just talking about them?
Absolutely.
All right. So we have.
Before you start, I just want to say one thing. I just noticed, for anyone watching on YouTube, I apologize for the lack of professionalism. We had this sitting up here during the set the whole time, so let me just...
It's all right.
It's not a big deal.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I just thought that was funny, so... Continue.
Oh, definitely. I'm going to ask you first, and we're going to write them down this time because I had to look back today. It took me quite a while to watch our video back and write down what we said and check what the actual scores were.
I'll write them down.
Okay. We have LA. And I put who's home and who's away this week. I finally did it.
Moving up in some ways and going down in others.
We have LA against Minnesota at home.
Who's at home?
LA.
Okay.
What's your prediction here?
I'm gonna take Minnesota.
You're taking Minnesota?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I'm gonna say Minnesota as well. Right. You're writing this down for both of us, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then they have Dallas for the last game of the year, and I'm giving that one to LA.
I would have to agree with you. Who's home for that game, by the way?
LA.
LA is also home for that game. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there. I think LA is definitely going to beat Dallas at home for the last game of the season.
Yep. And then, dude, how long does it take you to write down? Yeesh.
Well, I had to change it up because you didn't tell me who was home and who was away.
All right. And then, well, you don't have to write who's home, who's away. Just put what game. Yeah.
All right.
And then we have Anaheim. I'm just saying who's home and away so you have a better idea of who you think's going to win.
Gotcha.
Anaheim, these same two teams, Minnesota and Dallas. Anaheim is home for both of them. And I'm giving the first one to Anaheim. I say they beat Minnesota. And then I say Anaheim loses to Dallas.
I say they win both games.
Okay.
Finish out the season with 2 more wins.
Well, it's not finishing out because they have one more game against Arizona, and I'm giving Anaheim the win. So I say Anaheim has Minnesota, loses to Dallas, and then has Arizona. You're saying they get 3, all 3?
3 wins.
And they're already on 2, so you think they're closing out with a 5-game streak? Sounds good to me. I'm sure it sounds good to everyone in Orange County. And then you got Colorado against San Jose Sharks in San Jose. And I'm going to give this one to the underdog. I'm going to give it to Colorado.
Chris goes Colorado, and I'm going to have to agree with you.
Okay.
I think Colorado wins this one.
And then I'm going to skip their last game because it's St. Louis, so I want to get into St. Louis first.
Gotcha.
St. Louis versus Chicago in St. Louis. I'm going with St. Louis.
Agree with you again.
Then you have St. Louis against Chicago again in Chicago. And I don't think they're going to beat Chicago both times. I think Chicago comes back, gets that one. I'm going with Chicago.
I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to say St. Louis wins this game.
Then you have St. Louis versus Colorado. If we're right about how this is going, if it ends up being down to that game, winner takes all. And I have no idea how to decide who I think is going to win. No idea.
I'm going to just go with Colorado. I'm just going to be bold and go with Colorado. I think they take it.
All right. I'm going to be the opposition here. I'm going to go with St. Louis then.
All right.
Just to make it interesting, we'll find out.
Which is also interesting because I said I want to see St. Louis make it, and you want to see Colorado make it, yet we're going against those two teams in that last game. So that should be interesting.
And just because I want Colorado doesn't mean I necessarily think.
No, yeah, I know.
I don't think either of them has it in the bag. It's too close to tell. With much of these movements here left. And then let's go to the East and write down those predictions.
Alrighty.
Why do I feel like the room is so dead today? Like we're talking all, I don't know, seems so boring. I feel bad for anyone who's going to listen or watch this. This is bad.
Pick it up a little bit.
I'm trying to. You're the one being all fucking moody over here.
No, I'm not being moody. It's just hard to multitask and like talk and evaluate things while I'm writing it all down. So,
all right. We got Pittsburgh versus the Columbus Blue Jackets in Columbus. I'm giving it to Columbus. I say they jump up. They take that spot from Pittsburgh.
I'm going to disagree with you. I say Pittsburgh maintains their spot, and I say Columbus is still battling for that spot.
All right. Then Pittsburgh's last game is at home against the Ottawa Senators, and I'm giving that one to Pittsburgh.
I agree. I think Pittsburgh wins that one. So pretty much all my predictions so far, I'm giving like wins across the board. So I don't know how I feel about that.
It's all right. Then we have Columbus, obviously, versus Pittsburgh. We already picked those.
Mm-hmm.
Then their last game is against Nashville. And I'm going to say, it's not popular, but I'm going to say the Blue Jackets beat the Predators last game of the season.
Okay. I say, so you say CBJ, and I'm actually going to go against you. I'm going to say Nashville wins this one.
Okay. It is real interesting. Most of the games we picked are against each other.
Especially because I just feel like that low-scoring game against the Panthers the other night was just very unlike them.
Yeah. I'm actually using that as part of the reason I think they're going to lose.
Okay.
I didn't see as much from them as I thought they should be showing.
Granted,
this point
I
in the
didn't
season.
watch that game really. I was just getting score updates, so I don't really know how they looked. But I just thought
overall they didn't look too pretty either. They didn't play well.
I just looked at all the stats after the game, so I just took the fact that they outshot them. They had 40-something points. I was like, I just assumed Luongo must have stood on his head.
He definitely did play good. I'm not taking anything away from Luongo. Anytime you get 40 saves in the NHL, you got to be playing well. So then we have New Jersey Devils. They have Toronto in New Jersey and Washington in Washington, or D.C. I'm going to say they beat Toronto.
I think we're going to agree on these.
And I don't know about Washington. We can beat Washington.
Definitely can, but my prediction, I don't think we're going to.
Yeah, me either.
I say we take the last game at home. We win that at home. Fan appreciation night. Get one more win at home, and then go to Washington and end the season with a loss. And hopefully, we'll be preparing for playoffs.
That would be great.
Yeah, I'll take that loss as long as we're in the playoffs. I don't mind. So you agree? You say
yeah.
Pats.
So we agreed on both of those. All right, and then you ready for the Flyers?
Yep.
Last two. They have the Carolina Hurricanes in Philadelphia and the New York Rangers in Philadelphia. I say the Flyers lose to Carolina, beat the New York Rangers.
So they lose to Carolina, so you're going to do the Hurricanes. I say they beat the Hurricanes and they lose to the Rangers. That's my prediction.
Okay. And then we have Florida. Boston in Florida. I say Boston takes it.
Okay.
Then they have Buffalo in Florida. I say Florida takes it. Then they have Boston in Boston, and I say Boston takes it again.
So you say Boston beats Florida. Then you said Florida beats
Beats Buffalo, and then Boston beats Florida again.
So which game they're home? Boston's home for the last game of the season?
Yep.
Okay. So I say that they beat Boston the first game. So I say Florida's going to win that one. Then I say that they're going to beat Buffalo also. So I think they're going to get another one there, which I don't like to see. But I think they lose to Boston last of the season.
Definitely not bad predictions. We'll see how we do. We didn't do that bad last week. I thumbed through, watched last video, checked some scores, and saw how we did. We actually made predictions for 21 games last week.
It's a lot of games.
But one of them is tonight, so we don't know the results yet. So I just have how we did for 20 of them.
Gotcha.
Okay? You got a whopping 8 out of 20 for 40%. So when you hear the percentage, that's not that bad. For taking predictions, that's not bad.
Yeah.
And some of the ones that you got wrong, 3 of the ones you got wrong were in overtime. So pretty close.
Close calls.
Yeah, close call.
Yep.
There were actually a lot of overtime games this week. And then I had 13 out of 20 for 65%.
It's a lot better percentage.
Yeah, but it's a pretty small sample size. Like 20 games, it's not that much. Like 8 to 13 is not that big of a jump. And we were pretty much the same all the way down. If you look at my checks and X's, and then just when it got to the end, I got the last 5 games. All right. There's something interesting that happened this week that I'm sure everyone and their mother, hockey fans, non-hockey fans, know about, and that's the accountant, Scott Foster. I know you definitely want to talk about this on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I honestly didn't even know about it till day after. I was on Facebook and someone shared a video of it, and I watched it. And things similar to that have happened in the past, and I've actually watched a couple of YouTube videos on like every time a emergency goalie has had to actually dress. And in most instances, they ended up dressing, but they didn't play at all, or the ones who did play, it was like the last couple minutes or something.
Or a couple
and
seconds.
Another
even.
funny thing I found out, too, when I watched that YouTube video a few months ago, is that there's an NHL rule that says if there's an emergency goalie that's filling in, they aren't allowed to go into the game under any circumstances unless the other goalie is hurt. So there's been a couple instances where like the team was either up by 3 or 4 goals or down by 3 or 4 goals with like 2 minutes left, and the coach wanted to give him minutes and he went to throw him in, and the ref stopped it and said, "Sorry, you can't go in."
Which I understand by the league.
Yeah, liability reasons.
Well, technically they're under contract. They have to sign a contract,
but it's still probably more confusing than it is with like a regular player contract.
The reason I wish they would let them put the guys go in, obviously it'd be incredible for those guys, whether they see a shot or not, just to actually get playing minutes in an NHL game. Even if it's like last year, there's a guy that had to go in for like 3.5 seconds or something. That's still cool. So for them, I wish it was kind of allowed. And I think it is cool too that the coaches would, even though it's the NHL, you're up, you got a comfortable lead, like, oh, why not give this guy a shot? I think that's cool. But I kind of agree with the league at the same time, like you said, liability-wise. And I feel like if that was allowed, it would make instances like this less special for Scott Foster and other people in the future and in the past that have similar stories. It would make that less special, and I feel like it would kind of make the league not really look like a joke, but like to non-hockey fans or serious hockey fans, they see this story and they're like, oh, that's cool, like this random accountant like playing an NHL game. But then I feel like people that don't really understand the exact circumstances are like, oh, it's not that hard to play in the NHL. Like this guy was just at work in an office one day and then played in the game. Yeah, exactly. Not understanding like the weird series of unfortunate events that had to take place for this to happen.
Such an unlikely probability.
Yeah, and it's always a last-minute thing, too, because it's not like a guy gets hurt the night before. They're going to be able to get their minor goalie up in time.
Yeah, because there's no other sport where that's really an issue.
Yeah, and
like you don't see anything like that in any other sport. They have subs who can just pretty much fill in for any spot.
Yeah.
Even if you're thinking about like the NFL, someone's like, oh, what about a quarterback? A team only has 2, maybe 3 quarterbacks dressed in. What if for some reason all 3 got hurt or something? At the end of the day, they're all wearing the same equipment. You just throw in another player on your team to fill in the rest of the game, and that's it. Whereas goalie, you don't just throw a like, hey, hop in net. Like same thing with like soccer or something like that. If the goalie gets hurt, you would just throw another guy on the team in net.
And I don't think for the NHL you'd even be allowed to do that.
No, definitely not.
I don't think a defenseman could be like, I could put the pads on.
Yeah.
Like that's not allowed.
No.
Maybe in like the 20s, 30s, 40s.
Yeah, it's different because
they used to not even dress backups.
Because they literally have to wear different equipment and like play a completely different position.
Yeah.
So it's just different. So you don't see that in any other sport. So It's kind of harder for non-hockey fans to understand why it happens. and understand the circumstances of how it happens. So they're just like, oh, that's cool. That guy like played in the NHL.
Exactly. A lot of so basically, Foster's world is completely different. He went back to work on Monday, obviously, and is working his same mundane job.
Yeah.
And still, just an average family man. But I was looking into like some things, and I don't know if you saw any of his interviews, by the way, but the guy is hysterical.
There was one, I don't know exactly what he said. He said something like, they're like, oh, what are you going to tell your like friends at work on Monday? And he's like, oh, I'm going to tell them I had 31 shots in like a 2-1 win or something like that.
Yeah, he said like 30-something shots shut out in a 1-0 game.
Yeah.
And he's like, I heard he said he's going to tell his kids that he's going to be the only NHL goalie to retire with a perfect save percentage and goals against average.
Yeah.
And then he also said they asked him how he felt like after the game or whatever, and he's 36. He goes, yeah, well, I'm 36, but I think I'm really starting to step into my prime. And I thought that was good. And he was quick, too. Like, all this stuff was just right off the cuff. Mm-hmm. And I forget who it was. I think it was Brent Seabrook had a great game that night and would have gotten first star. But because of this, they gave first star to Scott Foster, obviously, and Seabrook had second star. And then they interviewed Foster on the ice, but then Seabrook after the game. And he was like, oh, this sums up my career perfectly. Like, I have a career night, like, great night, put up a bunch of points, not common for a defenseman.
And still someone outshines him.
And then Scotty comes in and takes the spotlight from me. But like I was saying, his world has been turned upside down basically because, like you said, we've seen other cases like this, but he played 15 minutes, got 7 shots, which isn't a lot, but again, if you're thinking of it, if you're like a more serious hockey fan, 7 shots against some of the best players in the world, that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
And
especially to stop all of them.
Exactly, and some huge saves and some cool things that people were saying. So Russell Crowe posted the story, and I wrote something about it. I thought that was cool. There's another actor, kind of like a lower level actor. I forget his name. He made like a YouTube short like about it.
Really?
Like, basically like a little comedy skit.
That's funny.
And he portrayed Scott Foster. And I saw people, like I was saying, like non-hockey fans. It's one of those weird stories. It's this cool thing. People that I know for a fact have never watched a hockey game in their lives are sharing this on Facebook with their friends. And I just thought that was a good thing for the sport. Right. Like, definitely, just to get it out there. TheChive.com made T-shirts that say The Accountant, oh, God, in like a superhero font with a digitized like picture of him, cool. All suited up. NHL.com posted get your Foster gear like on shop.nhl.com with a picture of like his jersey number 90 and everything.
That's awesome.
So I thought that was really cool.
I saw a bunch of like NHL pages, like not actual like the official NHL pages, but like I follow a couple like NHL pages on Instagram and stuff. A whole bunch of them were like posting this picture that was going around, and it's just Foster for Vezina 2018, and it's just going around. Everyone was sharing it. I thought that was funny.
Couple more. I didn't mean to like blow you off. I was just,
No,
I was just drinking for anyone listening on SoundCloud. Now I'm chewing ice.
Real
so unprofessional.
Hitting the mic, chewing ice.
Whatever. This episode's a train wreck. My 2 favorite things from this. Oh, there are also comic strips about them, but my 2 favorite things are both from other NHL goalies. You have Jonas Corpusalo from the Blue Jackets, and they asked him about it, and he basically said, to be a guy working a normal job and then have to go to the rink and jump into an NHL game, I can't imagine what that could be like. He seriously made some 6 saves. He said it blew his mind, and he doesn't understand. He says he would never be able to do it. Just show up like last minute going into a game cold. And this is a guy that is an
Right.
NHL caliber goaltender. And then this is my favorite one. I don't know if you saw William Karlsson's goal on Martin Jones. He got it between his legs.
No, I didn't see
Karlsson
it. I
from
missed it.
the Golden Knights. And I guess Luongo tweeted the video highlight of the goal and said Scott Foster could stop this while filing his client's tax returns. So a little chirp there towards Martin Jones.
Mm-hmm.
But all in good fun. I thought that was great to see.
So basically, he took the whole league by storm.
Yeah, if you have two great NHL goaltenders, talking about you, making jokes, that's
awesome.
great. What more could you ask for? I wanted to bring up Taylor Hall quick as well.
Okay.
He has 93 points. Devils have 2 games left. So last game he got 4 points in one game.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 games left. If he gets 3 points in those 2 games, do you know what he does?
I'm gonna guess he beats the all-time points record for NHL franchise history.
What?
And New Jersey Devils. Sorry,
I was gonna say
New Jersey Devils franchise.
It's not
history.
that good.
No, sorry, that's my guess.
Close. He would tie Patrick Elias from the 2000-2001 season, 96 points. Yes, non-Devils fans, Patrick Elias was a player who got over 90 points one year and high 80s a few other times. So, yes, he's a pretty good player.
Wait, but you said Elias had 96. Hall's at 93 right now. So
Yeah, if he gets 3 more.
You said in each.
No. I said if he gets 3 more for the last 2.
3 total. I was gonna say 3 in each game.
No. If he gets just 3 more
Gotcha.
for the rest of the year, he ties it. If he gets 4, so 2 in each game, which is kind of tough, he could do it. I'd love to see it.
Pretty
then
sure
he beats the record.
He's 1 goal away from a 40-goal season too, right? He has 39 goals on the season right now.
I think it's 38 or 39.
I also saw that the Devils posted on Instagram that he has more assists this season than he did points total all of last year, like goals and assists combined.
Yeah. Well, he definitely had an underwhelming year last year.
But still, it's still.
But yeah,
pretty impressive.
without a doubt. And then he already beat his career personal best for points. He beat his personal best for assists and goals too, I believe. Or maybe goals might have been 40, so he still has to beat that one. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. I think he definitely has to be in the conversation for the Hart. Probably won't get it, but like I was talking about McKinnon before, I'd kind of like to see him in contention too. So Hall is 6th in the league for points,
Right.
which is definitely great. But you have guys like Malkin or Kucherov that are up there that are ahead of them, but they're on such dominant teams
So you
that
can't-
have other.
You can't really say they're that valuable
Yeah.
to the team because on any given night, you have another player who's putting up crazy points. Whereas the
Yeah.
Devils,
Like if you put anyone else on the same power play or the same line as Stamkos and Crosby and Kessel, they're gonna put up a decent amount of points. So if you have another elite player with legit superstars,
it makes that player less valuable to the team. Like they're still valuable to the team.
It's most valuable to the team. So that's why I think they should give it more. It should be looked at more for teams
where they've really shined above the rest of the team. And I think Taylor Hall, he's got more than 30 points between him and Heischer, which is the second highest
I think
point
they have
scorer on the team.
I think the gap between them is the largest in the league. If I'm not mistaken, between 1 and 2, and Heischer doesn't have a few points either.
Yeah.
And the guys behind him are pretty much even with him.
Right.
But yeah, I think the top 3 in conversation, it should be guys that aren't on completely dominant teams too. So right now, McDavid, so here's another controversy where he has the most points in the league. Mm-hmm. He has a good chunk ahead of second place guy there. but he has a team that's not even in playoff contention, did not have a great year. So then people were saying, oh, well, how valuable could he be if he couldn't get his team to playoffs?
Still very valuable.
But yeah, I think that shows how valuable he is because without him, how bad would they be? Like, he has that many points and they're not a playoff team. Where would they be without him?
Yeah.
So I think he's the most valuable to that team. So I think the top three for me are McDavid, McKinnon, and Hall. As a Devils fan, I'd like to put that McDavid, Hall, McKinnon.
Yeah. So there's a lot. I have a question for you now, though. There's a lot of people who are talking about Jason Voracek or Claude Giroux, maybe possibly getting a Hart. So with both of them having a lot of points this season, would you say that you would kind of count them out just because they're both such
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, they're definitely valuable to their team and they're great players, but I don't think
Without a doubt.
I wouldn't mind if one of them was a nominee, but I don't think either of them should win it.
No. I think, like I said, just because you have more points doesn't mean you're more deserving. I think there are guys that are more deserving.
I agree.
So, yeah, I just wanted to touch on that real quick. And do you have anything else you would like to add?
I just have one last thing that we want to talk about. Usually we would talk about streaks. There's not really any streaks going around the league right now. So every week, obviously, if you guys have watched, we do our predictions of whether or not we think the streaks are going to continue. So we don't have any new streaks this week. We're just going to kind of go over our predictions last week and see how we did. So Winnipeg was one of the teams last week. They were on a 6-game win streak at the point. Their next game was against Chicago. Chris predicted that they were going to beat Chicago. I predicted that they were going to lose to Chicago. The result of that game was that Chicago won 6-2. So I was right. Chris was wrong with the first one. So Winnipeg's 6-game win streak was ended by Chicago that night. The next team, you have anything to add to that? Or no? Okay. So the next team was St. Louis. They also had a 6-game win streak at the time. They were playing Vegas next. Chris predicted that they were going to lose to Vegas. I predicted that they were going to beat Vegas. And Chris was right with this one. Vegas won 4-3 in overtime. So that's one of my games that I had wrong that went to overtime. But yeah, Chris was right. He had one. He said they were going to win. I said they were going to lose. So we're 1-for-1 each. We're each 1-for-2. Next game is Calgary with a 6-game losing streak. Chris predicted that they were going to lose to Columbus. I also predicted they were going to lose to Columbus, and we were both right because Columbus.
Wait. I could have sworn you said, "Oh, I mean, I know they're not a great team, but I don't see them getting 7 losses."
No,
that
was a week earlier. You could check it after if you want.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So we were both we both said that Columbus was going to win, and we were correct. Columbus won 5-1, and for the final, so that means we're both 2-for-3. Mm-hmm. So for the final game, Ottawa, also on a 6-game losing streak.
Tell me it's a tiebreaker.
Chris predicted that they were going to lose to Florida. I also predicted that they were going to lose to Florida, and we were both wrong. The Senators won 3-2 in overtime, so we both went 2-for-2 in our predictions for last week.
I believe. Oh God. Give me an eye.
That was bad.
And I believe. The week prior, when we did this last week and saw what we did, we were 2-for-2.
Yeah, we were both 2-for-2.
We had the same answers.
You did it again. 2-for-2. I think, dude, take a sip of water. Clear your throat, something. Come on.
Give me a V.
Oh, boy.
All right. I'm going to finish off the episode with some trivia.
Alrighty.
So we did trivia in the past, and I think we did, 2 questions the first episode, 1 last episode.
Yep.
And I think Zach is yet to get one right.
I've gotten, portions of them right.
Yeah, but I don't think you've actually gotten the question. You might have gotten, sub-questions right. Stop peeking.
I'm not peeking.
You're peeking. No, you're peeking.
And by what do you mean? I've gotten portions right. Like you said, name 3 players who have been whatever. I've gotten, 2 out of 3. So I've been partially right.
He hasn't gotten any of them completely right.
No, I have not.
So I gave him a couple easier ones, but I did have some pretty tough ones. So I think this is the way to go. I have 4 questions for you.
All right.
Wayne Gretzky holds the NHL record for the most goals in a single season. How many goals did he score? 72, 82, 92, or 102?
Definitely not 102. Definitely not 92. It's between 82 and 72, and I think 82 is still ridiculous, but you don't know about. I'm just going to play the safe side. I'm going to say 72 goals because I think 82 is still kind of outlandish.
The correct answer is 92
There's no way,
goals.
dude.
Yes, 92 goals in a season.
Pretty different NHL back then.
Yeah,
I should have said at least 82. 72.
When you said 102 was outlandish, and then you're like 92, and I was gonna be like scoring era.
No, I know that, but still, like, I mean, I should have at least picked 82 just because thinking now there's some players.
And I thought you're gonna at least say 82.
There's still some players that get up into the high 60s.
Yeah,
so.
when you said 82 still seems kind of outlandish for me, but so I thought you were gonna say you're gonna go with it, and you're like, I'm gonna go with 72. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I don't know. Thinking again, I should not have said that. But
so the way I found these trivia questions is there was this website, and it would have them, and you have to click them to get the answer. So for me to even fill it out, I had to answer them. So I was like, oh, I might as well try my best guess. And I guessed 92, and I'm proud to say that I got all 4 of these right.
okay,
I did change some of the multiple choices a little bit.
Gotcha.
Because some of them were just ridiculously stupid.
okay.
My next question has one that's ridiculously stupid,
Right.
but I did it to help you out. Second question. Number 11. Burger King foot lettuce.
I was just thinking that.
Sorry. Which NHL player was the first to score 50 goals in 50 games? Is it A? I didn't do A, B, C, or D last time, but I like it. A. Gordie Howe. B. Doug Glatt. C. Maurice the Rocket Richard. Or D. Wayne Gretzky.
The Rocket.
The correct answer is Maurice the Rocket Richard.
Okay, glad to see I got one.
All right, question 3. All of these goalies have scored in their career. Who was the first? A. Mike Smith.
Nope.
B. Ron Hextall. C. Billy Smith. Or D. Martin Brodeur.
Ron Hextall.
The correct answer is Billy Smith.
Fuck.
Final question. I'm having too much fun with this.
I gotta at least go 2 for 2.
I'm having way too much fun with this. How many times has an NHL season been interrupted with a labor dispute, aka lockout? A. Twice. B. 4 times. C. 5 times. Or D. 8 times.
I'm gonna go with 2 times.
The correct answer is 4 times.
Really?
Zach,
What?
I'm extremely disappointed.
Why is that?
2 of them were in our lifetime.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
What years were those?
2004. Well, 2003 into 2004, right? 2005.
Yeah, 2005.
Okay, and the other one was in it was like a half season lockout. It was more recently.
Yeah.
2010, 11, somewhere
Nope,
around there.
more recent.
12,
And
13.
Yeah.
12 and 13. I knew it was somewhere around
so
there.
12 and 13 was a half year. 2005, complete lockout. No hockey. But what year did the Devils win their first cup? This is the only reason I knew the answer.
1995
Okay. The 94-95 season
was a half season.
was a half season. So the multiple choice for me was
I feel like we should only get half a Stanley Cup for that. Not for nothing.
For me, it was once, twice, 4 times, or 5 times. 5 seems ridiculous, and I knew it wasn't once because 2 of them happened in my lifetime. And I knew it was more than 2 because of the year that we won our first cup.
3 wasn't an option.
And 3 wasn't an option. So I went with 4, and 4 is correct.
Okay, good to know.
I think that's all we have for you guys.
Went 1 for 4, guys. If you could please, 1 for 4. If you guys could please help me out, roast me, chirp me, whatever you got to do.
Please
send me some freaking books to read, something. I don't know.
I mean, he's not good with like this history stuff.
I'm not good at test taking. If you want me to take your test, I'll take your test, but I'm not going to do good on it.
I know you're not good with like history stuff, like hockey.
Oh wow! Look at that. Look who learned how to say it, guys.
History.
Give this video a thumbs up just for Chris.
I know you're not good with hockey history.
Yep.
Or
any history.
I tried to do pretty easy ones and kind of more recent ones. I really thought you would have gotten the goalie one.
I think we either. I thought I was gonna too. I thought I could have sworn it was Ron Hextall. But anyways, I think we either need to A, start giving me some even easier questions, or B, start doing what they do at arenas where it's like the coin shuffle and they like give them the answer.
Like, oh, do you want to know the answer before we
and you gotta like you're gonna give me like 4 questions. You gotta at least give me 2 so I don't look like such a fool. But we'll figure it out, guys. Thanks.
I'm not doing that. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Okay.
And I don't think we could do any easier ones because what do you want me to do? How many spokes are in the Bruins logo?
I don't even.
Actually,
I'd have to draw it out, and I'd be able to figure it out.
Actually, I don't know.
But anyways, guys, thanks for bearing with me. I'm gonna have to study up, I guess. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's a little bit shorter this time. Or sorry, we're so negative to SoundCloud. Like we don't shout out our SoundCloud enough. If you guys are listening,
try to shout out.
If you guys are listening, thank you for listening. If you guys are watching, thank you for watching. And we will see you by the time our next podcast comes out. We will be talking playoff matchups. It'll be exciting. We'll know who's playing who, and we're going to get into that. It'll probably be a little bit longer of an episode. We'll see. Thank you guys for watching. You have anything to add?
I just want to say thank you guys for watching and listening. And so, no, I don't have anything to add.
All right. Have a good one, guys. See ya.
Peace out.